Good wishes to all of you. Social Science Contemporary India 2 Textbook in Geography for Class 10 Water Resources 3rd Chapter Audiobook. Take a look at this conversation. Hey Pinky, did you see those awesome TV reports on floods in Assam? My god, what havoc they have created! It has destroyed and swept away everything in its path. Yes, Shintu, I did. Isn't it strange that water can give life and take life as well? What would we do without water? We need water to drink, cook our food, wash our clothes, and wash ourselves as well. My father was telling me that in his factory they need a lot of water for a number of things. Did you know that they even need water for cooling the machines? In fact, the factory runs on the power supplied by the Hydel power plant. Now I can understand why through the ages we humans have chosen to live near water courses along the rivers and other water sources like springs, lakes, ponds and oases. You already know that three-fourths of the Earth's surface is covered with water, but only a small proportion of its account for accounts for fresh water that can be put to use. This fresh water is mainly obtained from surface runoff and groundwater that is continually being renewed and recharged through the hydrological cycle. All water moves within the hydrological cycle, ensuring that water is a renewable resource. You might wonder that if three-fourths of the world is covered with water and water is a renewable resource, then how is it that countries and regions around the globe suffer from water scarcity? Why is it predicted that by 2025 nearly 2 billion people will live in absolute water scarcity? Water scarcity and the need for water conservation and management. Given the abundance and renewability of water, it is difficult to imagine that we may suffer from water scarcity. The moment of the moment we speak of water shortages, we immediately associate it with regions having low rainfall or those that are drought prone. We instantaneously visualize the deserts of Rajasthan and women balancing many matkas, earthen pots, used for collecting and storing water and traveling long distances to get water. True, the availability of water resources varies over space and time, mainly due to the variations in seasonal and annual precipitation, but water scarcity in most cases Most cases is caused by over exploitation, excessive use and unequal access to water among different social groups. Where is there water scarcity likely to occur? As you have read in the hydrological cycle, fresh water can be obtained directly from precipitation, surface runoff and groundwater. It is possible that an area or region may have ample water resources but is still facing water scarcity. Many of our cities are such examples. Thus, water scarcity may be an outcome of large and growing population and consequent greater demands for water and unequal access to it. A large population requires more water not only for domestic use but also to produce more food. Hence, to facilitate higher food grain production, water resources are being overexploited to expand irrigated areas for dry seasons agriculture. Irrigated agriculture is the largest consumer of water. Now it is needed to revolutionize the agriculture through developing drought resistant crops and dry farming techniques. You may have seen in many television advertisements that most farmers have their own wells and tube wells in their farms for irrigation to increase their produce. Take a look at these images. Take a look at figure 3.1 water scarcity. Water everywhere, not a drop to drink. After a heavy downpour, a boy collects drinking water in Kolkata. Life in the city and its adjacent districts was paralyzed as insistent overnight rain, meaning a record 180 mm, flooded vast area and disrupted traffic. A Kashmiri earthquake survivor carries water in the snow in a devastated village. एक और इजराइल जैसे 25 सेमी औसत वार्षिक वर्ष वाले देश में जल का कोई अभाव नहीं है, तो दूसरी और 114 सेमी औसत औसत वार्षिक वर्ष वाले हमारे देश में प्रति वर्ष किसी भाग में सूखा अवश्य पड़ता है। देश में जल की अपलब्धता और उसके स्वरूप के अनुसार समुचित जल जल प्रबंधन न जल प्रबंधन न होने की करना ही वर्ष का जल नदी नालों में तेजी से बहकर समुद्र में चला जाता है, जिससे वर्ष के बाद के लगभग नए महीने देश के लिए पानी की कमी के होते हैं। यही मूल करना है देशा में जलीय अभाव के, जिसे हम उचित प्रबंधन के द्वारा ही नियंत्रित कर सकते हैं। सॉरी फॉर दिस टाइप ऑफ हिंदी रीडिंग. I just quit reading Hindi from my 10th standard. Sorry. But have you ever wondered what this could result in? That it may lead to falling groundwater levels, adversely affecting water availability and food security of the people. Post independent India witnessed intensive industrialization and urbanization, creating vast opportunities for us. Today, large industrial houses are as commonplace as the industrial units of many MNCs, multinational corporations. The ever increasing number of industries had made matters worse by exerting pressure on existing freshwater resources. Industries, apart from being heavy users of water, also require power to run them. Much of this energy comes from hydroelectricity power. Today in India, hydroelectricity power contributes approximately 22% of the total electricity produced. Moreover, multiplying urban centers with a large and dense population and urban lifestyles have not only added to water and energy requirements but have further aggravated the problem. If you look into the housing societies or colonies in the cities, you would find that most of these have their own groundwater pumping devices to meet their water needs. Not surprisingly, we find that fragile water resources are being overexploited and have caused their depletion in several of these cities. So far, we have focused on the quantitative aspects of water scarcity. Now, let us consider another situation where water is sufficiently available to meet the needs of the people. But the area still suffers from water scarcity. The scarcity may be due to bad quality of water. Lately, there has been a growing concern that even if there is ample water to meet the needs of the people, much of it may be polluted by domestic and industrial wastes, chemicals, pesticides, and fertilizers used in agriculture, thus making it hazardous for human use. India's rivers, especially the smaller ones, have all turned into toxic streams, and even the big ones like the Ganga and Yamuna are far from being pure. The assault on India's rivers from population growth, agriculture modernization, urbanization, and industrialization is enormous and growing by the day. This entire life stands threatened. Source: The Citizen's Fifth Report, CSA 1999. You may have already realized that the need of the hour is to conserve and manage our water resources to safeguard ourselves from health hazards, to ensure food security, continuation of our livelihoods and production activities, and also to prevent the degradation of our natural ecosystems. Over exploitation and mismanagement of water resources will impoverish this resource and cause ecological crises that may have profound impact on our lives activity. From your everyday experience, write a short proposal on how you can conserve water. Multi-purpose river projects and integrated water resources management. But how do we conserve and manage water? Archaeological and historical records show that from ancient times we have been constructing sophisticated hydraulic structures like dams built of stone rubble, reservoirs or lakes, embankments and canals for irrigation. Not surprisingly, we have continued this tradition in modern India by building dams in most of our river basins. Hydraulic structures in ancient India. In the 1st century BC, Sringaverapur near Allahabad had sophisticated water harvesting system channeling the floodwater of the river Ganga. During the time of Chandragupta Maurya, dams, lakes and irrigation systems were extensively built. Evidences of sophisticated irrigation works have also been found in Kalinga, Odisha, Nagarjunakonda, Andhra Pradesh, Bennur, Karnataka, Kolhapur, Maharashtra, etc. In the 11th century, Bhopal Lake, one of the largest artificial lakes of its time, was built. In the 14th century, the tank in Hauskas, Delhi, was constructed by Iltutmish for supplying water to Siri Fort area. Source: Dying Wisdom, CSE, 1997. Take a look at figure 3.2. Hirakud Dam. What are dams and how do they help us in conserving and managing water? Dams were traditionally built to impound rivers and rainwater that could be used later to irrigate agriculture fields. Today, dams are built not just for irrigation but for electricity generation, water supply for domestic and industrial uses, flood control, recreation, inland, navigation, and fish breeding. Hence, dams are now referred to as multi-purpose projects where the many uses of the impounded water are integrated with one another. For example, in the Satluj Beas River Basin, the Bhakra Nangal project water is being used both for tidal power production and irrigation. Similarly, the Hirakud project in the Mahanadi basin integrates conservation of water with flood control. Multi-purpose projects launched after independence with their integrated water resources management approach were thought of as the vehicle that would lead the nation to development and progress, overcoming the handicap of its colonial past. Jawaharlal Nehru proudly proclaimed the dams as the temples of modern India. The reason being that it would integrate a dam. A dam is a barrier across flowing water that obstructs, directs, or retards the flow, often creating a reservoir, lake, or impoundment. Dam refers to the reservoir rather than the structure. Most dams have a section called a spillway or wear over, which or through which it is intend that water will flow either intermittently or continuously. Dams are classified according to structure, intended purpose, or height based on structure and the materials used. Dams are classified as timber dams, embankment dams, or masonry dams, which are several subtypes. According to the height, dams can be categorized as large dams and major dams, or alternately as low dams, medium height dams, and high dams. Development of agriculture and the village economy with rapid industrialization and growth of the urban economy. Activity. Find out more about any one traditional method of building dams and irrigation works. We have sown the crops is Azar. We will bring Bhadu in Bhadra. Floods have swollen the Damodar. The sailing boats cannot sail. Oh Damodar, we fall at your feet. Reduce the floods a little. Bhadu will come a year later. Let the boats sail on your surface. This popular Bhadu song in the Damodar Valley region narrates the troubles faced by people owing in the flooding of Damodar River, known as the River of Sorrow. In recent years, multipurpose projects and large dams have come under great scrutiny and opposition for a variety of reasons. Regulating and damming of rivers affect their natural flow, causing poor sediment flow and excessive sedimentation at the bottom of the reservoir, resulting in rockier stream beds and poorer habitats for the river's aquatic life. Dams also fragment rivers, making it difficult for aquatic fauna to migrate, especially for spawning. The reservoirs that are created on the floodplains also submerge the existing vegetation and soil, leading to its decomposition over a period of time. Multi-purpose projects and large dams have also been the cause of many new environmental movements like the Narmada Bacho Andolan and the Tehre Dam Andolan, etc. Resistance to these projects has primarily been due to the large scale displacement of local communities. Local people often had to give up their land, livelihood, and their meager assets and control over resources for the greater good of the nation. So, if the local people are not benefiting from such projects, then who is benefited? Perhaps the landowners and large farmers, industrialists, and few urban centers. Take the case of the landless in a village. Does he really gain from such a project? Narmada Bacha Andolan or Save Narmada Movement is a non-governmental organization NGO that mobilizes tribal people, farmers, environmentalists, and human rights activists against the Sardar Sarovar Dam being built across the Narmada River in Gujarat. It originally focused on the environmental issues related to trees that would be submerged under the dam water. Recently, it has refocused the aim to enable poor citizens, especially the outsides, displaced people, to get full rehabilitation facilities from the government. People felt that their suffering would not be in vain, accepted the trauma of displacement, believing in the promise of irrigated fields and plentiful harvests. So often, the survivors of Rahan told us that they accepted their sufferings as sacrifice for the sake of their nation. But now, after 30 bitter years of being adrift, their livelihood having even being more precarious, they keep asking, are we the only one chosen to make sacrifices for the nation? Source: is Dharma quoted in the belly of the river, tribal conflicts over development in Narmada Valley, a Bhaviskar, 1995. Do you know Sardar Sarovar Dam has been built over the Narmada River in Gujarat? This is one of the largest water resource projects of India, covering four states: Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, and Rajasthan. The Sardar Sarovar project would meet the requirement of water in drought prone and desert areas of Gujarat, 9,490 villages and 173 towns, and Rajasthan, 124 villages. Source: you can look in this link. Irrigation has also changed the cropping pattern of many regions, with farmers shifting to water intensive and commercial crops. This has great ecological consequences like salin, salinization of the soil. At the same time, it has transformed the social landscape, that is, increasing the social gap between the richer landowners and the landless poor. As we can see, the dam did create conflicts between people wanting different uses and benefits from the same water resources. In Gujarat, the Sabarmati Basin farmers were agitated and almost caused a right over the higher priority given to water supply in urban areas, particularly during droughts. Interstate water disputes are also becoming common with regard to share the costs and benefits of the multi-purpose project. Do you know? Do you know that the Krishna Godavari dispute is due to the objections raised by Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh government? It is regarding the diversion of more water at Koina by the Maharashtra government for a multi-purpose project. This would reduce downstream flow in their states with adverse consequences for agriculture and industry. Activity. Make a list of interstate water disputes. Take a look at this map. India. Major rivers and dams. Most of the objections to the project arose due to their failure to achieve the purposes for which they were built. Ironically, the dams that were constructed to control floods have triggered floods due to sedimentation in the reservoir. Moreover, the big dams have mostly been unsuccessful in controlling floods at the time of excessive rainfall. You may have seen or read how the release of water from dams during heavy rains aggravated the flood situation in Maharashtra and Gujarat in 2006. The floods have not only devastated life and property but also caused extensive soil erosion. Sedimentation also means that the floodplains were deprived of silt, a natural fertilizer, sorry, fertilizer, further adding on to the problem of land degradation. It was also observed that the multi-purpose projects induced earthquakes, caused waterborne diseases and pests and pollution resulting from excessive use of water. Rainwater harvesting. Many thought that given the disadvantages and rising resistance against the multi-purpose projects, water harvesting system was a viable alternative both socio-economically and environmentally in ancient India. Along with the sophisticated hydraulic structures, there existed an extraordinary tradition of water harvesting system. People had in-depth knowledge of rainfall, regimes, and soil types and developed wide-ranging techniques to harvest rainwater, groundwater, river water, and flood water in keeping with the local ecological conditions and their water needs in hill and mountains regions. People built diversion channels like the Gulls or Kulls of the Western Himalaya for agriculture. Rooftop rainwater harvesting was commonly practiced to store drinking water, particularly in Rajasthan. In the floodplains of Bengal, people developed inundation channels to irrigate their fields. Collect information about flood prone areas of the country. Floods. Basic safety precautions to be taken. Heavy rain d- drowns Kolkata. The ride of his life. Basic safety precautions to be taken. Listen to radio TV for the latest weather bulletins and flood warnings. Pass on the information to others. Make a family emergency kit which should include a portable radio, transistor, torch, spare batteries, a first aid box along with essential medicines, ORS, dry food items, drinking water, matchboxes, candles, and other essential items. Keep hurricane lamp, ropes, rubber tubes, umbrella, and bamboo stick in your house. These could be useful. Keep your cash, jewelry, valuables, important documents, etc. in a safe place. If there is a flood, move along with your family members and cattle to safe areas like relief camps, evacuation centers, elevated grounds where you can take shelter. Turn off power and gas connection before leaving your house. During floods, don't enter into flood waters, it could be dangerous. Don't allow children to play in or near flood waters. Stay away from sewerage line, gutters, drains, culverts, etc. Be careful of snakes. Snake bites are common during floods. Stay away from electrical poles and fallen power lines to avoid electrocution. Don't use wet electrical applications, get them checked before use. Eat freshly cooked and dry food. Always keep your food covered. Use boiled and filtered drinking water. Keep all drains, gutters near your house clean. Stagnation of water can breed vector waterborne diseases. In case of sickness, seek medical assistance. Use bleaching powder and lime to disinfect the surroundings. In arid and semi arid regions, agriculture fields were converted into rain-fed storage structures that allowed the water to stand and moisten the soil like the Khadins in Jaisalmer and Johars in other parts of Rajasthan. Other parts of Rajasthan. Take a look at figure 3.3 rooftop rainwater harvesting. A. Recharge through hand pump. B. Recharge through abandoned dug well. Rooftop rainwater is collected using a PVC pipe, filtered using sand and bricks. Underground pipe takes water to sump for immediate usage. Excess water from the sump is taken to the well. Water from the well recharges the underground. Take water from the well later. Are you a water harvester? This monsoon join us in counting the raindrops. Take a look at figure 3.4. In the semi-arid and arid regions of Rajasthan, particularly in Bikaner, Palodi and Barmer, almost all the houses traditionally had underground tanks or tankers for storing drinking water. The tanks could be as large as a big room. One household in Palodi had a tank that was 6.1 meters deep, 4.27 meters long, and 2.44 meters wide. The tankers were part of the well developed rooftop rainwater harvesting system and were built inside the main house or the courtyard. They were connected to the sloping roofs of the house through a pipe. Rain falling on the rooftops would travel down the pipe and was stored in these underground tankas. The first spell of rain was usually not collected as this would clean the roofs and the pipes. The rainwater from the subsequent showers was then collected. The rainwater can be stored in the tankas till the next rainfall, making it an extremely reliable source of drinking water when all other sources are dried up, particularly in the summers. Rainwater or palar pani, as commonly referred to in these parts, is considered the purest form of natural water. Many houses constructed underground rooms adjoining the tanka to beat the summer heat as it will keep the room cool. Take a look at figure 3.5 traditional method of rainwater harvesting. A cool leads to a circular village tank as the above in the Kaza village from which water is released as and when required. Interesting fact rooftop rainwater harvesting is the most common practice in Shillong, Meghalaya. It is interesting because Cherpanji and Mosnam Mosneram, situated at a distance of 55 kilometers from Shillong, receive the highest rainfall in the world. At the state capital, Shillong faces acute shortage of water. Nearly every household in the city has a rooftop rainwater harvesting structure. Nearly 15 to 25% of the total water requirement of the household comes from rooftop water harvesting. Activity. Find out other rainfall harvesting systems existing in and around your locality. Today in western Rajasthan, sadly, the practice of rooftop rainwater harvesting is on the decline as plenty of water is available due to the perennial Indira Gandhi canal, though some houses still maintain the tank since they do not like the taste of tap water. Fortunately, in many parts of rural and urban India, rooftop rainwater harvesting is being successfully adapted to store and conserve water. In Jandanthur, a remote backward village in Mysuru, Karnataka, villagers have installed in their households rooftop rainwater harvesting system to meet their water needs. Nearly 200 households have installed this system, and the village has earned the rare distinction of being Rich in rainwater. See figure 3.6 for a better understanding of the rooftop rainwater harvesting system which is adapted here. Generator receives an en- Generator receives an annual precipitation of 1000 mm and with 80% of collection efficiently and of about 10 fillings. Every house can collect and use about 50,000 liters of water annually. From the 200 houses, the net amount of rainwater harvested annually amounts to 1 lakh liters. Rooftop harvesting was common across the towns and villages of the third. Rainwater that falls on the sloping roofs of houses is taken through a pipe into an underground tanker, circular holes in the ground, built the main house or in the courtyard. The picture above shows water being taken from a neighbor's roof through a long pipe. Here, the neighbor's rooftop has been used for collection of rainwater. The picture shows the hole through which rainwater flows down into an ground tanker. Take a look at figure 3.6. Interesting fact, Tamil Nadu is the first state in India which has made rooftop rainwater harvesting structure compulsory to all the houses across the state. There are legal provisions to punish the defaulters. defaulters. Take a look at figure 3.7. Bamboo drip irrigation system in Meghalaya, a 200-year-old system of tapping stream and sprinkling water by using bamboo pipes is prevalent. About 18 to 20 liters of water enters the bamboo pipe system, gets transported over hundred of meters and finally reduced to 20 to 80 drops per minute at the site of the plant. Picture 2 and 3. Picture 1. Bamboo pipes are used to divert perennial spring on the hilltops to the lower reaches by gravity. Picture 2 and 3. The channel section made of bamboo divert water to the plant site where it is distributed into branches again made and laid out with different forms of bamboo pipes. The flow of water into the pipes is controlled by manipulating the pipe positions. Take a look at figure 4. If the pipes pass a road, they are taken high above the land. Picture 5 and 6. Reduced channel sections and diversion units are used at the last stage of water application. The last channel section enables water to be dropped near the roofs of the plant. Activity. Collect information on how industries are polluting our weather resources. Enact with your classmates a scene of water dispute in your locality. Exercise. Multiple choice questions based on the information given below. Classify each of the situations as suffering from water scarcity or not suffering from water scarcity. Region with high annual rainfall. Region having high annual rainfall and large population. Region having high annual rainfall but water is highly polluted. Region Region having low rainfall and low population. Which one of the following statements is not an argument in favor of multipurpose river projects? Multipurpose projects bring water to those areas which suffer from water scarcity. Multipurpose projects by regulating water flow helps to control floods. Multipurpose projects lead to large scale displacements and loss of livelihood. Multipurpose projects generate electricity for our industries and our homes. Here are some false statements. Identify the mistakes and rewrite them correctly. Multiplying urban centers with large and dense population and urban lifestyles have helped in proper utilization of water resources. Regulating and damming of rivers does not affect the river's natural flow and its sediment flow. In Gujarat, the Sabarmati basin farmers were not agitated when higher priority was given to water supply in urban areas, particularly during droughts. Today in Rajasthan, the practice of rooftop rainwater Rainwater water harvesting has gained popularity despite high water availability due to the Indira Gandhi Canal. Answer the following questions in about 30 words. Explain how water becomes a renewable resource. What is water scarcity and what are its main causes? Compare the advantages and disadvantages of multi-purpose rivers projects. Answer the following questions in about 120 words. Discuss how rainwater harvesting in semi-arid regions of Rajasthan is carried out. Describe how modern adaptations of traditional rainwater harvesting methods are being carried out to conserve and store water. Thank you.